Overtime!
Hey guys, welcome back to Overtime Arcade. We're out here in the garage, and actually I was out of town all week this week on a business trip, but now I'm back. I'm home, I'm in my element, I'm in my happy place, I'm in the garage working on games, and today we're working on my Sega OutRun Cabaret. That's right, the mini version of Sega OutRun. And guys, this is absolutely, I think I've mentioned this before, my kids' #1 most requested game. This is the one that they want me to fix, they want me to prioritize, they want me to get up and running. And so I'm succumbing to the pressure, I'm succumbing to the demands, and I really want to get this OutRun done as quickly as possible. If you've been following this project, I was able to recently get it working. I pieced together a board, I got a monitor working, everything basically works. The two big issues that we're having are, we've got a lot of cabinet work to do, a lot of cabinet repairs, and I've got to repair the plastic dashboard, sort of the control panel kind of cover for this thing. Now, I got this cabinet a couple years ago from Dell, from Delusionals Arcade. Great deal, great guy. He definitely hooked me up, but this thing did need some work. And yeah, so last time, if you recall, the base of this thing was really kind of crushed and broken. And I know this wasn't the most professional way to do it, but I sandwiched the original base plate of the cabinet in between two new pieces of plywood, and I used some carriage bolts to kind of, secure it together, squeeze it all together, and that's fine. That adds a lot of stability and some extra weight to the cabinet, so there's no risk of this thing falling over, because people will go crazy on this a little bit, pulling on the steering wheel and standing on the step here with the gas pedal and all that. And so yeah, again, not the most elegant repair, but I think it's good. The other big thing that we have is this toe piece fell off, okay? The side of the cabinet toe piece here, because like I said, there is this base, and kind of think of this thing as rotated and standing up. There's this bottom plate here where, the gas pedal sort of comes out from the front of the cabinet, and then you step on it here, and I'm fixing all of that. I did some Bondo, kind of smooth this all out. Still got a little bit of work to do there. But this entire piece, you can sort of see the crack right here. This entire toe piece was broken off entirely. It was just really being held on by the T-molding, and there's like a metal strap that goes on, sort of like an edge protector that goes on. So this piece entirely fell off. And again, a more professional way to do this repair would probably to make a clean cut here and put an all new piece of wood, but I still had the piece that broke off, so I wanted to use it. So what I did was, I basically soaked this entire thing in wood hardener. I didn't like dip it in and soak it, but I've got a ton of wood hardener onto this thing after brushing off all of the loose pieces of particle board that this is made out of. And similarly down here, brushed all the loose pieces off and really soaked it good with wood hardener. You can sort of see, because when it dries, it's a little bit shiny, so you can see it will eventually clean all of this off. But that's good. And then I glued and screwed the piece. I got it lined up perfectly, and used a straight edge and a level, and I got it lined up perfectly, and it's glued and screwed. I'll probably throw a couple more screws in into the top part here, but I got 4 screws, 4 long drywall screws here on the bottom, grabbing it, holding it in place. So there's glue on the other side. You can see some of it squeezed out a little bit here. So that's on, but then what I need to do is build up this toe piece so that it matches the other side, and like you can see a lot of it is worn off and rubbed off and just crumbled. So we're going to use some Bondo, and actually we're going to use the Bondo glass version, the one that has like embedded bits of fiberglass. And sorry, yeah, I was using this as like as a platform to hold something that I was painting white, and there's a bunch of Bondo on the outside. There's still a good amount of Bondo in here. And so that's what we're going to use to build up this material. We'll use the Bondo to build it back up sort of roughly in the shape that we need, and then we'll sand it down to the shape that we want, and we'll cut a T-molding groove in it. You can sort of see the T-molding groove goes in here and starts in here, and then it just all kind of disappears into the part that's crumbling. So we'll build that back up and sand it down, shape it into exactly what we want, and we'll cut a T-molding groove in it. I've got these pieces of scrap plexi kind of clamped in on either side to create a bit of a form for me to use. I still need to put some, you know, I'll eventually have to come over the top with Bondo to kind of cover up the crack and the countersunk screws that I put in here to sort of get the finish. But for the bulk of this, to build up the bulk of this, I put these 2 pieces of plexi and, you know, have you know, some clamps holding it, and this sort of scrap piece of plywood sort of helping to hold the clamps and get everything in place there. And I'm going to fill this in, and these the pieces of plexi, because Bondo doesn't stick to plexi, at least not very well, will provide sort of a form so I don't have, you know, Bondo falling on either side. The Bondo will sort of stick in here, and I don't have to worry about the shaping too much on either side. I'll have to shape down the top and the toe piece, right? But this Bondo really helps kind of make almost like a concrete form. If you've ever seen concrete being poured, they create a form often with like pressure treated wood, and the concrete doesn't stick to that, and it sort of helps you create the shape. And that's basically what we're going to be doing here. We can't do it for over the top because we're kind of rebuilding that shape, but on other sides it's just supposed to be flat. So this will make the Bondo really, really flat on that side. And like I said, afterwards we'll come over, we'll put like a skim coat of Bondo to cover up the crack and the countersunk holes and all that, and really kind of make it look good. But yeah, this form is going to be nice to hold the Bondo in place on either side and not let the Bondo move every which way. It is nice, clean, you know, straight lines on either side, and focus on building up the bulk of this toe piece. So yeah, I've got everything in place here, ready to go. So let me just go ahead and mix up some of this Bondo. I'll fill it in. We'll get it nice and shaped, and we should be good to go. Okay, guys, this is how we're looking. It's kind of a mess, and yeah, with Bondo, usually it looks ugly, but you know, you want to give yourself, you know, room to work with, material to work with. So this was actually kind of a pain to get the Bondo into the sort of form that I created, you know, because this is only like 3/4 of an inch wide, and the Bondo glass in particular, because it's got all this fiberglass, you know, sort of embedded in it, is really thick and gloopy. And I was actually trying to use, I had a glove on, trying to use my finger to work the Bondo in, and it was just smearing all over the plexi form. So we'll see how this looks. It's really a mess. It's kind of all over the plexi, but hopefully it doesn't really stick to the plexi. I mean, it shouldn't. That's kind of the whole point of using the plexi. So let's start to take things apart here. And this, okay, and right here. And this wood should just slide right off. Yep. And let's see about this. Oh no. Maybe if I kind of peel it, but it is stuck on good. And I don't want to snap it off of the. That's not great. Okay. Let me see if I can get a tool to kind of pry it off like this. Should be fine. This is a painter's scraper. Let's see, get this sort of underneath here, kind of work it off. There we go, it's starting to come. Come on, I don't want to scratch up. Yeah, okay, see? It's coming, kind of. Don't want to put a ton of pressure to get it to snap the Bondo or break the, you know, break the wood. But it's sort of coming. Come on. Come on, let go. The problem is, I don't know if this is a great idea, guys. And you see I drew this blue line on the outside of the plexi, kind of to show me how far I wanted to build up the Bondo at a minimum to kind of, you know, match the original outline. Okay. All right, feeling a little bit better. It's making like a canoe shape. Come on. There, all right, I think we're out of the woods. All right. Nice. Okay, I can live with that. This is what I wanted to see. I didn't want this to kind of snap and then have it crack into the Bondo that I wanted to remain. So that's good. And you can see all the Bondo stuck on, but it'll come off. It'll scrape off. So I'm gonna get this other side off. All right. Let me try to delicately peel this without breaking it, and then we'll come back and take a real close look at what we got before we move on to the next step. All right, I think we actually got pretty lucky here. I am happy with how this turned out. Like I said, there's quite a bit of a canoe effect here from where I got the Bondo on the walls of the plexi form, but I think we're in good shape and we can start shaping this. So this is affectionately known as like a cheese grater. There's a bunch of different tools like this. This is a Stanley called Surform, S-U-R-F-O-R-M. You see that there? And yeah, this, again, sort of like a cheese grater, and you use it to kind of knock down, and I want to be careful, again, not to really kind of crack the Bondo. You see how it comes, it's, you know, again, it's like grating cheese. So we'll use this to kind of shape it. We'll knock this all down, get it into the rough shape. We want to have a lot of room to work with. And then I can kind of match it on the other side and kind of compare, you know, and, you know, get it smooth, and we'll use the sander and we'll kind of get the rough shape in. I'm going to have to come again with more Bondo and do a skim coat here. And there's some little chunks here and there that I want to kind of fill in. Again, a lot of this is going to get covered by the metal bracket, like a corner piece, like a angle aluminum that I'll run down. The original had it, but only about to like here. We're going to extend it all the way down just to give us more rigidity and protect this toe piece a little bit. So yeah, I'm going to keep working this cheese grater, or the Stanley Surform, and we'll get it into the rough shape, and then we'll be ready to do our next coat of Bondo pretty soon. Hey guys, I just wanted to show you quickly, things are looking really good. I'm actually really happy with how this is turning out. I got the first major application of the fiberglass Bondo sanded down, and yeah, I'm really happy with it. It's nice and solid, nice and stable. Obviously I sanded it down and got it kind of matching the other side. What I did was, because that other side is mostly intact, I kind of measured it at various points and drew these lines to sort of show, you know, where it would be, and drew a line between them to kind of recreate or show me where I needed to recreate kind of the angle. And yeah, it's looking really good. Yeah, we got some little pitting we're gonna have to fill in. I have to build up the tip of the toe just a little bit, and obviously it needs to be repaired over here, but that's not bad at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that with Bondo glass, and I'll probably use regular Bondo, sort of, filling in the edges of the bottom kind of on both sides, and we'll hit that with black spray paint after sanding the Bondo down. But yeah, I'm really, really happy with how this is turning out. You know, I had been putting this on for a while, so I was a little bit nervous about doing it, but this thing is nice and secure, and I think once we get it done, it's going to be looking real nice. All right, guys, I'm all done with the Bondo. I've done a bunch of applications and sanded it, and I'm actually really kind of happy with where we're at on both sides, all around. Yeah, I got disgusting clothes on for painting and sanding, and I think we're good to go. I've got all of the artwork that I want to preserve taped off. I left a couple of areas sort of exposed a little bit because some of the sanding unfortunately went through the, I kind of screwed up, and through the artwork, got some of the white exposed, but it's all in the sort of, you know, the part that's going to be black. So I'm going to leave that exposed. Maybe it gets a little bit of black paint on. And again, this is not going to be perfect. We're not going for museum quality. That's never what I'm going for. But I want to protect the original artwork, so I've got that masked off. And I also filled a lock bar hole right here. There was a bit of chip in the edging up front here. So I think we're good. This was always exposed a little bit. They really didn't do a great job painting this underside, so we'll cover that up. We'll do some of the edging here. I might do a little bit of the edging so that if the T-molding has some wood poking out, it's not going to be exposed. I've got all the connectors taped off on the inside. Everything is good. So we've got the Rust-Oleum Universal Satin Paint and Primer in one. This is my go-to paint here. It's getting harder and harder to find. I hope Rust-Oleum is not discontinuing this thing. So we'll break the seal and give it a test spray over here. All right, I kind of want to go around the edge here real quick, just so that it's kind of, you know, blacked off so that it's not exposed. So here we go with that. All right. And we'll do, you know, several light coats of this. Okay, and we'll come back up over here. All right, and across the front. All right, and now I'm doing the actual painting that I want to do. And again, light coats, you know, you don't want to cake it on. Okay. Yeah, it'll take a couple coats to cover everything up. We don't want to be a one-shot a one-shot hero. Around the edge here. And over here. Okay, I don't really need to paint this because I'm going to glue some new, a new sort of step material onto it. I know I'm kind of getting in the way. Let's see here. Get the underside. Okay, and around here, the speaker grill area and the top side. Okay. Don't go too heavy with the first coat. It's always a mistake. Ah. Come on. Go around the edge here. And even the top, don't forget the top. I'm not really worried about this black, oh, stink bug. Get out of here. I'm not really worried about the black, cheap Harbor Freight moving blanket. I do want to get this inside edge. Okay, this side. Is this exciting? Painting. Finally feel like I'm making good progress. I still have a lot of work to do when it comes to the control panel. That's going to be a ton of effort. Okay. And down here, obviously, the side that you can't see. Again, we're not going for perfect here, but I think this will look pretty okay in the end. So, all right, I think that's good for my first coat. I'm gonna give this, I don't know, what does it say? Few minutes, and yeah, probably 3 or 4 coats. I'll probably go through maybe 2 whole cans, and we should be good to go. So keep your fingers crossed that it turns out okay. All right, guys, I got all the coats of paint on that I wanted to apply, and it's been drying for about 6 hours. I am filthy. I spent 8 hours in the driveway today doing cabinet repair. Not only was I working on the OutRun Mini, I was also working on the spare Joust cabinet that I'm turning into a multi-Williams. That'll be an interesting sort of show you what I did in that one. Anyway, the paint is dry here, and I think we can go ahead and start to remove it carefully. I think, I'm crossing my fingers, I think it turned out okay. The paint's not fully dry, but good enough to remove the tape, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I am sweaty. I'm covered in paint and sawdust and wood glue and who knows what else. Yeah, all right. This is looking pretty good. Let's get this. Okay. I got a lot of this painter's tape on as the base layer. And it's the really like delicate painter's tape because it's, you know, it's right on the artwork, and I don't want to damage the artwork. That's kind of the whole point. All right. Yeah, down there, you know, it's clear that I went over the artwork with the black paint, and it's not the same sheen as the actual artwork, but it looks a lot better than just, you know, the red kind of poking through, because I guess that's how they printed this artwork. So that's looking pretty good. Okay. Yeah, all right. I am happy with that. So let's turn it around here. You know, and I had more, you know, newspaper inside the cabinet for, you know, to cover up the connectors and whatnot. But look at that toe down there. We'll take a close look here in a second, but that's looking awesome. And you know, originally it had these little like metal bracket things. These things are kind of trashed, that were kind of designed to prevent this from happening. They went here to minimize the risk of damage to the toe. And what I was originally thinking of doing was, because I can't quite put these originals back on because they have this sort of lip to them, which I don't know if I can sort of recreate, but I don't know, I might be able to straighten it out, flatten it out, and put it back on. Originally, I was going to stick just some angle aluminum that I got and drill that and use that, but I don't even think I need it. It looks really good like this. And obviously, this is not going in a commercial environment. I doubt my kids are really going to put that much wear and tear on it to necessitate a metal bracket, but we shall see. Okay. All right. I had a little bit of paint splatter as I emptied a can, and I ended up using four cans, or not four. What am I talking about? 2 full cans of paint. One of the cans was emptying and splattered a little bit on the front, but I think I was able to smooth it out just letting it dry and then coming over with another light coat. I think did the trick to get rid of the real obvious splatter. But you know, this wasn't perfect from the factory, so it doesn't need to be perfect here. I always get nervous that I forgot to hit record. Nope, that's going. Good. Okay, we're almost done here. And it's already Sunday night. This video is going to be late again. I've had so much going on with work and with my kids' fall sports schedule, but man, that looks awesome. Okay, let's come off here and take a quick look. Guys, if I do say so myself, I am very, very pleased with how this repair came out. I mean, look at that. Doesn't that look awesome? And to think this was basically an amputated toe. I reattached a toe. Look at the front of the cabinet. That looks great too. So in the next episode, I've got replacement sort of rubber mat material. The original is still over here. Look how nasty that looks. So we'll cut that and we'll glue it on. And I got some metal pieces that I've been, restoring. Those need to get reattached. The thing that's really going to take the most time next time is repairing the plastic. And I'm working with Marquee Mark, Overtime Arcade channel member. Marquee Mark, he discovered, he didn't invent it, but he sort of came across a way to repair ABS plastic, which I'm really kind of both dreading and looking forward to. Should be really, really good to repair the cracks and the damage to the really thin plastic dashboard. And then I need to reassemble all the gears and everything for the driving controls, the steering and all that, but that should be good. I mean, the monitor's working. I think, I don't know if I've capped it yet. And the PCB works totally, so, and the power all works, so that should be good. But yeah, guys, look how well that turned out. I am really, really happy with the repair that we did right here. Look at that. Isn't that great? Okay, well, anyway, before we wrap up, guys, I got mail. I got some viewer mail here. You know, it's funny. Recently on the KLOV forums member, the Yeti, was suggesting that I should do like a, viewer mail section at the end. You know, John's Arcade used to do that and everyone liked it, right? But I said I'd love to do viewer mail, but no one ever sends me any mail. I've even, the one time somebody did send me mail, I, read it and answered it on screen, but and lo and behold, I got another bit of viewer mail here. So if you want to send me viewer mail, all you got to do, send it to overtimearcade@gmail.com, overtimearcade@gmail.com. And, if it's a good question, I'll read it on camera. So here we've got this one here. I'll just read it to you. This is from William Heckel. It's a soldering question. William says, "Hi, I've been watching your restoration videos, and while I have been soldering on and off since 1979, when I built an ohm meter from a Radio Shack kit using a basic soldering iron, that same soldering iron now passed away, I got a new soldering station and I have no idea what temp I should be soldering at. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. I am just soldering resistors, IC sockets, and small stuff like that. Maybe that would be an item to include in future videos as to what soldering and desoldering temps work best for different situations. I am currently on part 3 of your Joust series and really enjoy your videos. Thank you, William Henkel." Well, William, thank you. I appreciate the question. Thanks for watching. Now, soldering, I'm going to say some things that, some people might not agree with, and that's totally okay. What I'm going to say is it really, the temperature doesn't matter as much as technique and finding out what works for you and your technique. I run my soldering iron, which is over there. Look how messy everything is. Oh my gosh. My soldering iron over there, I have it set at 800 degrees Fahrenheit, and I leave it there for everything. I never change the temperature on my soldering iron. I always have it set to 800 degrees Fahrenheit. And a lot of people will say, "Charlie, that is way too hot. That's way too hot." And that might be true, but that's what works for me. I tend to work kind of quickly, and I like that the solder melts really fast. I use Kester 44. I think it's a 6334 mix soldering iron, and that's what works for me, right? So depends on your iron. It depends on the solder that you're using. It depends on your individual technique, how quickly you work, how precisely you work. 800 degrees Fahrenheit, I've tried a couple different temperatures. That works for me. In terms of desoldering iron, I actually have not been using my desoldering iron much. I've been using the Vampire solder sucker, and I think, do I have? Yeah, I actually have even an extra one right here. See that Vampire Tools solder sucker? That thing works like a charm for me. It doesn't jam nearly as much. It doesn't have to be cleaned or whatever. Eventually the little silicone tip wears out. You just like cut a new piece and put it on. That's what works really well for me, along with ChemWick, which is the Chemtronics ChemWick is a solder wick. I use that to clean up the pad. And so I rarely use my soldering iron, my desoldering gun, the Hacko desoldering gun. I rarely use that these days. And I think I run that at like 750. But even with that, I find that the desoldering gun tends to damage pads and vias and traces much more than the solder sucker. So yeah, William, that's what works for me, but you got to experiment and find what works for you. So let me know how you pan out. And guys, if you want to participate in viewer mail, again, just send me an email, overtimearcade@gmail.com. And like I said, if it's good, I'll read it at the end of an upcoming video. Anyway, guys, Thanks for everything. If you want to support the channel, the best way to do it is to become an Overtime Arcade channel member. You get to join over 100 awesome, generous people. They all donate $1.99 a month to help support the channel. That pays for spray paint, that pays for Bondo, that pays for parts and things that I need to do these projects. And in exchange, you get access to some awesome perks. You get access to a monthly members-only live stream, and our live stream for September is coming up soon, so better join now if you want to get in on that. And it's very different than our normal live streams. It's fully interactive. People get onto the Discord, and they get into the voice channel, and they get to talk on the live stream. So if you ever listen to one of the members-only live streams, you're not just hearing from me, you're hearing from lots of other folks. It's interactive, it's awesome, it's like a hangout. You get early access to all new videos. Typically, I release videos on Sunday afternoons, but I've been late lately. So this one's coming out on Monday afternoon, and channel members are getting access probably Monday morning. And best of all, I already mentioned it, you get access to our private members-only Discord server, which is the best community going right now. Discord is almost never down. It's a very positive, supportive community, very friendly and welcoming to beginners. So you don't have to feel, embarrassed if you're asking a beginner question, something very, very basic or whatever. It's people just sharing their passion for this hobby, just like this channel, talking about what we're picking up, what we're working on, what we're playing, buying, selling, trading, finding deals for each other, hooking each other up. It's great. So click that join button down below if you want to learn more about what it means to become an Overtime Arcade channel member. And again, thank you so much to all these awesome folks who are helping to support the channel. Anyway, guys, please do everything the YouTube algorithm wants you to do. Like, share, comment. If this is your first time, subscribe and hit that hype button. I really don't know what it does, but I'm told it does something good. So anyway, guys, as always, thanks for watching Overtime Arcade. I'm Charlie. God bless you all, and I'll see you next time.
Overtime!